Nico Iamaleava, DeShaun Foster, and everybody involved with UCLA football has failed the program, the fans, and anybody who roots for UCLA football.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer, reacting to the loss. UCLA obliterated by New Mexico 35-10. There's no way to put it. This is absolutely terrible. This is the worst thing we've seen in UCLA football history. History with what we've seen with this product on the field. The team flat out gave up. Nico was all right and still threw a pick. You've got Nico with 3 touchdowns, 3 picks in 3 games. He has been an embarrassment for UCLA with the camp, the story, the drama. Look at DeShaun Foster, who comes after week 1 and comes out and says, we're close, only for the team to put up their 2 most pathetic performances since then. Worse than the Utah game. You could almost forgive the Utah game, and then you watch them come out against 2 Mountain West teams who both trailed in the fourth quarter at home to Idaho State, a terrible FCS program. They barely beat the Bengals of Idaho State, come out and come up by 3 scores in each of those games. You're sitting here, UCLA, going to a bye week, and they haven't once held a single lead. Okay, you're like, oh, the Utah week 1. Wait, they haven't had a single lead against UNLV when they were trailing 23-0. And then in a game against New Mexico where they're down 14-0 and outscored 21-0 in the fourth quarter. New Mexico had 500 yards of offense. UCLA had 13 penalties for over 116 yards. Frustrating. Nico was kind of doing his thing, but still couldn't make plays. UCLA couldn't consistently, seemingly get a running game going that when it mattered most. And right when they're about to have a big key drive, false start, almost sacked. What is this embarrassing product that we're watching on the field? If this were a real program, we would see the end of DeShaun Foster's tenure. We'd see a complete wiping out of the athletic department by Chancellor Julio Frank, the new chancellor who just came to UCLA with the chance to give UCLA some new life. It's not going to happen, unfortunately, after this game. It's not going to happen going to a bye week. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. I'd be pleasantly surprised. This, you could go and say it's back to Chip Kelly at the end of his era with the lack of talent, and DeShaun Foster wasn't given his due. Brought in late in 2024, and then had to scrounge together a roster and a coaching staff, pivot, and then everything is just completely falling to crap here. And the most embarrassing thing is UCLA, they're not getting rooted for. You see Nico coming in, he's a cautionary tale, the most cautionary of cautionary tales. And you could argue UCLA got the better player than Joey Aguilar in the deal. But now they're just the embarrassment. The national light was on them. They wanted the haters. DeShaun Foster came out and said that, and all of a sudden, they have fallen flat time and time again. I thought this season would be alarming if they were 1-2. If they were just 2-2, it would be alarming in the first 4 games. No, you go into a time machine. You could think of Doctor Strange. I'm just doing all sorts of visualizations in the different alternate universes if you're a big Marvel fan. And you're like, wait a minute, this is the worst possible timeline. This is it in terms of UCLA football in 2025, where Nico hasn't truly stood out. The team can't protect him. There's no other talent elsewhere. The defense has been horrible, and the Bruins have no energy. They literally quit on the field. It was an embarrassment, an utter embarrassment. It took them more than 10 quarters of football to get a turnover. Because New Mexico's like, should we go for it on 4th down? They took it down to them. It's not like Coach Eck for the Lobos was gambling. He's like, UCLA can't stop us. We really don't need to kick a field goal. This game could have been much worse if New Mexico didn't just literally drop the ball or get stopped on 4th down. 35-10 is probably the closest this game could have been, because New Mexico dropped the ball on a 4th down going into the goal line. Got stopped by an inch going towards the goal line on 4th and short early in the first half. That's the embarrassing part about this. And if this were a real program, they'd come out and clean house immediately. The buyout for DeShaun Foster doesn't go out. I believe I heard from Petro some money. I was listening to them. They were talking about it. It doesn't go down until December 2nd, because UCLA gave DeShaun Foster a nice, good deal to make sure he's the coach, because it's like he's going to get poached by some other team. So the deal does not go out for a buyout lower until December 2nd. well, if we're a huge UCLA fan base, someone pony up the money, clean house now, and make it happen. And for Nico, man, good riddance. Like, yes, he's playing his heart out. He's doing his best. He's playing closer to home. But I mean, come on, from what I've heard, from what I'm reading, and especially what I talked about earlier in the day, where it's like they knew this all along, and then it's coming out from CBS Sports earlier in the week. It's how do you build a program when you got your own quarterbacks, camp, dad, everything, just trashing the team? And yes, you could argue the O-line was never going to be a strength, but then you got your own QB, not necessarily Nico, but everything else around him coming out and the reports that, yeah, they were confident in this situation. They just were a lame duck option because nobody wanted him. And we're never going to see an option like this happen again. We won't see this in the spring portal because they're most likely going to change the spring portal options. Nobody is going to try and ask for more money that late in this season because it's been an absolute disaster. And I think this is exactly what college football wanted to happen to Nico Iamaleava. Embarrassment in the highest order. Go to that team, go see what happens, tank your draft stock, and watch the program, unfortunately, not always necessarily the fault of Nico, just come crashing and burning to the ground. Is there life at the end of this tunnel in 2025? Yes, apparently I have seen something darker with more despair than the movie Grave of the Fireflies. I thought that was a good, fun, dark reference at the end of the Utah week, but somehow I've seen something that has crushed my soul and made me more numb in terms of just entertainment only, whether it be a movie compared to just football, entertainment only, and it's just more despair for UCLA football. Absolutely frustrating. Yeah, Nico, 65% completion percentage. Yes, I'll say he's the better player than Joey Aguilar, but man, a guy who is supposed to be the dude needs to play like the dude. And yes, sometimes you do need some talent. You do need the O-line to hold up. But man, this is utterly embarrassing when you get dominated time of possession. The team just repeatedly goes in the red zone. UCLA won the turnover battle. Like New Mexico just coughed up the football 3 times, lost it twice, and Nico still threw a pick over the middle. Every single time Nico has thrown a pick this season, it's been over the middle. It's been twice tipped, bad reads, and that's not going to bode well if he's trying to make it to the NFL. If he's trying to go to a new SEC roster or a new team in 2026, which is likely where this is headed, right? You sitting there thinking like his camp's happy about this, how this is playing out. How is DeShaun Foster going to survive this season? There is no circumstance where it happens. It's just a matter of, do you give him the dignity of finishing out the season, hoping that the transfer portal moves to a single window, which gives UCLA ample time, whether it's Martin Jarman or some other new athletic director, to make something happen. Now, do you call for the AD's job first? You can hire somebody new who can then hire a new football coach and give yourself plenty of time to hit the portal for the 2026 season while there's still time? Because this is not a schedule UCLA's played that they should be 0-3. They should be 2-1 with the opponents they played. Now, New Mexico was even better than UNLV, which is frustrating. Because then what do you expect against Northwestern after a bye? To play better, to win at a place on the lake? Like, Northwestern is the bottom tier of the Big Ten schools, and UCLA was already being laughed at by the other Big Ten teams. I'm getting laughed at by my Locked On Big Ten group chat. Of course, friendly, but it's an utter embarrassment. The lowest of the lows for UCLA football, right? And even there are some super low times with Chip Kelly in the beginning of those years. And you're like, oh man, they couldn't even beat San Diego State. No, New Mexico came in and destroyed UCLA, like dominated. That is embarrassment. Clean house immediately. I don't think they will. I'll be here reacting and discussing and describing what could be the new coaches. Maybe we'll even go through that. But DeShaun Foster's got a job. All the coaches have a job. The players still got to play. And there's still 9 more games. And we'll be here talking about it. And maybe they can grow and just grows a unit. But we've seen the big swing came up with a miss. Trying to go after Eric Bieniemy didn't work. Nico, clear swing and a miss. Every portal guy they went after besides Nico did not come up. Any development from the last few years has come up empty this year in recruiting and player developments. That we've seen nothing from week 1 to week 3 that showcased they're a more disciplined football team. In fact, they're getting worse from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. Everything is starting to tumble and steamroll from week to week and gotten even worse. Third down conversions, what the other team's been able to do on third downs. New Mexico's ability to just completely dominate the game is just mind-boggling to me. Like, I just don't understand how bad it could be. And I know I've been called out by other podcasts, been called out, been a clown, been called out. How are we so negative? This is just a clear display that was evident in the UNLV first half that UCLA did not come to play in the 2025 season, not the first 3 weeks. This is not the murderer's row non-conference Big Ten start that UCLA had to face last year, where they faced a CFP team at LSU, at Penn State. No, this was a much easier schedule designed for DeShaun Foster to be a trendy team heading in the 25 winter portal. No, anything but embarrassment is too light of a word. It's despicable to see how far UCLA has dropped, that there's tarps everywhere, that it's just, you're watching the kids get excited over nothing on kids' night when they brought all those tickets out for all those kids. Because if it wasn't a bunch of freebie tickets handed out, that would have been the emptiest the Rose Bowl's ever been. And now you're going to get all those Big Ten teams coming in to fill it up. That was dismal. There's no other way to put it. It has to be a clean house immediately. New coaches, new opportunity to familiarize yourself with the UCLA program, what it takes to bring a player in, the academic requirements, how tough it is, what the NIL budget is, so you can prepare yourself accordingly to attack the portal and be just decent in 2026. Because there's no way Nico would return to this nonsense. And no way I think UCLA should want to deal with that outside noise again and again. Embarrassment. I just can't even go even further than that. Absolutely crazy. You can just move through life, or you can find the things that move you. It's your choice. You can choose to get out there, choose your people. You can choose to go for it. Like, really, go for it. Just choose to do something that moves you. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose more to do than just simply move. Mazda, move and be moved. It's going to do it for us here in Locked On UCLA. For all those everydayers I saw at the Rose Bowl tonight, thanks for saying hi and saying what's up. If you want to enjoy the rest of this UCLA season, you know where to go. You're going to be here. You'll be entertained. We'll go through it. We'll lambast until some change needs to be made, and we'll entertain in between, and we'll talk about the craziness and enjoy all the haters, all the newcomers to what is the lowest point in the history of UCLA football. And just like that, we need our hands up for an 8 clap. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Plenty of content to come throughout the week into the next week, despite it being a bye week. That's right. This is your new home. Like, comment, subscribe, download, be back. Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer signing off, saying, Go Bruins.